Hey guys, what's going on? I'm using a different mic. Hopefully this will be less feedback than the old one I'm using, so we will see how good or bad it is. This video is going to be a backup of Sargon of Akkad's video from 4 years ago, The Demands of Black Lives Matter. Now, why am I making a backup video of a much bigger YouTuber? Well, because I looked for this website that he got this information from. I looked for it for a very long time recently. It used to be up. I've seen it before. I mean, when he made this video 4 years ago, I went to the website and read it for myself. What Black Lives Matter actually wants. So I know it exists. I've seen it before, but now they have pulled it down. They've gotten rid of the website. Probably because of blowback, because their demands are fucking insane and racist as fuck. Oh, yeah. For people wondering if I'm going to stop cursing in my videos or not, no. I've toned it down a lot. If you want to go for a video of 3 years ago and compare that video to now, I curse. See, I can't even talk. A hell of a lot less now than what I did before. So I'm actually on the improvement for my cursing. So, side note, I don't know why it's been pulled down. Regardless, it has been pulled down, and that was the only website that had their demands written out. Now you can hear statements and speeches and statements of demands by Black Lives Matter, whatever, 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 all over the internet, various people, various groups. That it's not one organization, as it says right here. There are more than 50 organizations, and that was 4 years ago. Who knows how many organizations is now? You can, but that's all anecdotal. That's all just, oh, I heard this person say that. Oh, they said this. Oh, they. This is the only website that they wrote everything down in one source, and they, for whatever reason, it was pulled. Now the authorities didn't do that. No, the authorities are completely on the side of Black Lives Matter. They pulled it down because, like, oh shit, we don't want people figuring out the truth about the horrible dystopian nightmare future we want for everyone else. And so they probably, I don't know why they pulled it, but regardless, Sargon of Akkad's video is the only source of information from this now absent website. That's the only place you can find it. This is the only place how I'm getting this text right. It doesn't exist anywhere else on the internet that I could find. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. Regardless, in case his channel gets demonetized, I think it already is monetized, taken down or something, I want this to be a backup because he's already got suspended off of Twitter. He's already got suspended, I think, off of Patreon. Yeah, he caused the whole Patreon debacle. Yeah. So he's already getting kicked off various platforms over the years. YouTube might kick him out. YouTube has kicked out so many different people I listen to. Any day I hear of someone getting kicked off, it doesn't surprise me at all because that's what they do. So in case his platform gets, his channel gets taken away, I want this to be a backup that people can still know what Black Lives Matter wants. And I'm a smaller channel, so I kind of dodge all of these things. If I was big, I probably would have gotten kicked off already because I'm so edgy and racist and whatever, bullying people, whatever stupid rule they want to come up with. Just the fact that my channel is so small, I've avoided the ire of the authorities. Let's get into it, shall we? We're a couple minutes in, and we even delved into the platform. Depending on how slow I go through this, and this may be a part one of two, because Sargon's original video is 38 minutes. So he did a very, very in-depth analysis of this manifesto, this batshit crazy manifesto. So the first part I want to point out is that they believe black people need to be liberated, that they are enslaved somehow, that they are oppressed, and they need liberation. The only people holding black people down are themselves, black people and other black people. The reason why black communities across the nation are not like lily white, suburban white picket fence, white suburbs is because of the type of people who live there. People may make fun of lily white picket fence, white suburban neighborhoods, and all types of different memes and generalizations. Heck, I make fun of them too. When I lived in suburbs like that, I made fun of people all the time. They're just the weirdest, like, sheltered people you can think of, and they're such uppity, snippety people who are so preconceived with their image and like random stuff about, oh, did you go to the community club last night? like those people. But you have to admit that you would rather live with them than murderous gang raping thugs. Yeah, I'll pick suburban Karen over Jamal Jaquan any time of day. I would rather have someone put their nose up at me because I don't whatever fucking thing I'm not doing that's conforming to their idea of what someone should be over someone who wants to kill and rob me. Yeah, yeah, just so the only reason why black neighborhoods are not like that is because of the type of people who live there. There are people who are just the worst people, the scum of the fucking earth. Am I saying black? Am I saying black people are scum of fucking? No, don't take my words out of context. Don't think I'm a racist. Because there are plenty of black people who live in those neighborhoods who do nothing wrong, who have no choice but to live there for one reason or another. And there's a lot of black people in other non majority black neighborhoods that are perfectly fine and they do nothing wrong. And they follow the law and they send their kids to college and they're upstanding members of the community and do all these nice things for everyone. I've known plenty of them throughout my life. I've heard of plenty of my life. Black people aren't the problem. It's some types of black people in these black communities that are keeping them from being quote unquote liberated, from being a nice neighborhood, from being a nice community, a community that people want to live there. I've talked to so many people who lived in ghettos and finally made it out, and they're like, "Thank God I got out of there." Like they had to work their ass off in order to get out for one reason or another because they're poor. They had to save up to go to college. They save up to get a certificate or something. But it's just like they don't want to live in black majority communities. Everyone who's left for a reason because they don't want to live there because it sucks. And they will come up with all these excuses of how it's white people's fault that all these black communities suck, even though there's no white people there whatsoever. And it's they're black police officers and black judges and black business leaders and black community leaders. Like literally almost everyone involved in the community or in charge of the community or has any type of sway in the community is black, and yet still they find a way to blame black people, to blame white people for it. Just it's freaking amazing. So that's the first point I want to point out is that they think they need to be liberated. They need to liberate themselves from the thugs and the rapists and the drug dealers and the gang members and the murderers who are making their communities shitty. That's what they need to. That's what they need liberation from. In the previous video, I made anger about their living situation or their communities being shitholes or whatever. But they're not even lashing out at the people who are making their community shitty in the first place. If they lashed out and like mass purged the thugs and the gang members like in mass and then like drove them out and like mass murdered all of these gang members and murders, they'd be like, yeah, that's what you can do. Throw their shackles off of you so you can make your communities good. But they're not. They're lashing out at police officers and white people who are completely not doing anything about that. Again, like I said in many, many other videos, police brutality is a problem that we need to discuss, and it is a legit problem. Bootlickers are like, oh, it's not a problem. You're just exaggerating. You just follow the law, then you won't have trouble. No, no, that's completely incorrect. But that doesn't change the fact that the police officers are not the reason why you live in like rat-infested apartments with people selling drugs and shooting each other every hour. That's not the police's fault. They didn't do that. The thugs did that. That's their fault. The police aren't making them do that. The white people are not making the black people sell drugs and shoot each other. That's their own decision. They are agencies of their own actions, and they are responsible for their own actions. You can't just pass it off to, well, there was slavery hundreds of years ago and oppression, and so that's okay. So I get to shoot people all day long. No, it's not how it fucking works. The second point I want to highlight is apparently they think there's a war on black people. That is a fantasy, a delusion of people who have a victim complex and have to live in a fantasy where they are the victim and everything they do is not their fault. There is no war against black people. As you see in this chart, black people are killed infinitely less than white people killed by police officers. Black people kill black people 10 times over than white people who kill black people. If there's any war that's being waged against black people, it's by other black people. How can you take a look at this chart and just like, yep, these white people, they're totally the aggressors. The police, they're totally the aggressors. These small, little, insignificant bars are the aggressors compared to the giant freaking bar that is black on black crime, which I know they say doesn't exist, but we can't go into the scope of every single tiny little thing. You can already Google why black on black crime is a thing, and people who say it's not are just retarded. But again, I have to limit the scope of this video because there's so much to go over. So that's another thing. So they think they need to be liberated, and they think there's a war against them. Every single piece of evidence is to the contrary. Third point, they want reparations. They want money. They want to defund the systems, institutions that criminalize and cage us. So what does that actually mean? They want to be given money, just blanket checks from taxpayers, which they're not taxpayers. Some of them are. But the people on welfare, they're not taxpayers. The criminal gangs, their investments are not taxed by the IRS. They don't have income tax on their black market dealing, so they're not gonna pay for it. It's other people. They want white people to pay for it. They want white people to just give them blanket money in mass, and they want to defund the systems that criminalize and cage us. You guys criminalize yourselves by committing crime. It's not the police's fault that you chose to do all these crimes. It's not slavery or Jim Crow or oppression or racism that forced you, that you didn't have any other choice but to commit all this violent crime. That absolutely is not an excuse. And you know it. You just don't take responsibility for your actions, so you pass it off to other people. They don't want the police to come after them. They don't want the police to arrest them for committing crime. They want the police to just let them do whatever they want, and they want all the money from taxpayers to do whatever they want. That is their fundamentally different world that they talk about. They want to include policies that address the immediate suffering. Basically, get rid of all these laws, a lawless chaos. That's what they want. They don't want to be held responsible for their actions. They don't want all these black people being in prison for rape, murder, theft, assault, whatever, because that means that's systematic racism. Because there's more black people in jail than white people. So that must mean the system is racist, and we have to get rid of the system. So get rid of all these laws, or just don't enforce it, or just don't enforce it against black people, because they want the stats to be even. Whenever you take a look at a crime stat and they show that black people are arrested for it more often, or charged, or convicted, or put in jail for it, as opposed to white people, they don't think the reason why that's the case is because black people just commit it more. No, that can't be the case, because we're all equal. They're not any worse than us. So that must mean that white people do it the same amount. They just get away with it more because the police don't go after them. They go after black people more. They point to this one stat of marijuana use as the example. Well, that doesn't just because white and black people use marijuana the same doesn't mean they commit every single other crime on the books the exact same way, and they know that's true. But the way they want to even out the stats, the same amount of white people and the same amount of black people are arrested for a certain crime, or convicted, or put in jail for a certain crime, is to just let black people off the hook at every single step. It's to lower that stat down so it's even with white people. That's what they want to do. That's what they mean by getting rid of the system and institutions that criminalize and cage us. That sounds all nice and fancy and liberating and stirs your heart and whatever, but that's what it means. Give us money and reparations, and don't enforce the law so there's less black people getting put in jail for all these crimes. Just let us do what we want. Let us, with your money, um, buy guns and steal cars and sell drugs and traffic people and shoot up people, and yeah, that's what we want. You can see this in the type of people that they usually defend. 99.9% of the people that Black Lives Matter supports in police shootings were in the wrong. There's a couple, Eric Gardner and George Floyd, two off the top of my head I can think of in like 6 years, that actually were doing nothing wrong. Every single other one was committing, I think, like violent crime in almost every single other situation, like Michael Brown and Rayshard Brooks. Multiple felonies, multiple violent assaults. Michael Brown didn't have a long rap sheet, but he just beat up a store clerk and robbed him. So I just what a little angel, right? Just Rayshard Brooks had a rap sheet 10 miles long, including beating his own kids. So it's just like, you choose to defend those people. Why are you defending these people? Because they are on your side. They're black. Doesn't matter what they did. They're black. We must support the tribe mentality and support black people no matter what. So they don't want Rayshard Brooks to go to jail for all those things. That makes black people look bad. So they just want him just to be off the hook. Just continue to beat his kids and steal stuff and sell drugs. It's fine. It's fine. Furthering the end of the war on black people, apparently we criminalize and dehumanize black youth in the justice and education system, social service agencies, and media and pop culture. Apparently, they don't want zero tolerance school policies also. We already went over much of this in the last couple of minutes, but something that's very interesting. They think that media and pop culture criminalizes, dehumanizes black youth. That is hilarious. The media is so hyper PC and hyper terrified of being even remotely linked to anything that could remotely constructively be racist, that they constantly prop up black people in their shows and movies and whatever as good, as virtuous, as morally right. We saw that with the Gillette commercial that came out a couple years ago. AIU did a very good video on this, where he counted the amount of black people who were doing what the commercial deemed as correct or morally good actions, or bad or morally bad actions. and then did the same thing with white people, good actions versus bad actions, and he found it completely fucking stacked that like almost every single black person was depicted as doing something good. There was like one or two they're doing something bad, and then white people it was exactly the fucking opposite. Like two or three of them did something right, and the rest of them were doing the bad things. He's like, this is the subversion that they are doing in pop culture, such as commercials. Did the stats like the odds of this happening in a single day in a random city, whatever, is like one in like billions because the crime stats are exactly opposite of what the commercial was trying to depict. This is just one example. I'm not going to point to a single commercial and say, oh, this is an example of why pop culture elevates black people above everyone else. That's just one example. Every single thing, almost every single piece of media and pop culture does this. That commercial was just the one example that I picked because AIU did the stats and saw how much it was stacked in exactly the opposite way. But you can point to almost every single other show, movie, commercial, and see that it's roughly the same subliminal message they're trying to push onto people. How many times have we seen shows or movies about the virtuous, hardworking black person and his bumbling, idiotic white friend, or something along those lines? We've seen it so often with women and men too. Women are always smart and they're funny, whatever, and then they're bumbling, stupid white male friends. You know, like how many times have we seen that? When's the last time you saw like a smart, virtuous, hardworking man and then his dumb bimbo wife or something like King of the Hill? Like 20 years ago, Peggy Hill was like the last stupid woman we saw in media or pop culture. That show wouldn't fly today, that's for damn sure. All right, let's keep going. What is the problem? Black people commit crime. That's the problem. All these other little bullet points are just bullshit. Like this, that's the problem. You guys are breaking the law, breaking the laws, and you are like combative, argumentative fucks. That's the problem. That's why you're getting kicked out of school all the time. I know it's from personal experience. I know this experience from almost every single person I fucking talk to. Look at this. 3 million students are suspended from school, often for vague and subjective infractions such as willful defiance or disrespect. Now, disrespect, I guess I could chalk it up to that is vague and subjective because each person has different definition of what disrespect is. But I had 100% understanding of what my teachers considered disrespect. And guess what? I never got in trouble. Wow, who would have fucking thought that one? But willful defiance, that is a very, very specific action. If you don't know what that is, I'm sorry, but maybe you should go back to school and not get kicked out this time so you can understand the definition of that word. That's just amazing. That their white peers are often not disciplined for at all. Wow, that's hilarious because first of all, white kids hardly did this, for example, but whenever they assaulted a teacher, yeah, they got expelled. Yeah, when black people did that on a number of occasions I personally have seen in school, yeah, they got kicked out. Even if it wasn't attacking a teacher, if it was yelling and disrespecting and carrying out like a hissy fit, yeah, you're gonna get suspended. When a white person did that, which was hardly ever, wow, what a surprise, their behavior's different. Guess what? They were also suspended or expelled. Expelled definitely if they assaulted a teacher. Suspended if they were talking back or yelling or throwing stuff. What a surprise that no matter what race did those actions, they were punished basically the same. I don't remember any other anomaly of like, hey, Jason, that white kid, he just threw a bunch of stuff across the classroom and threw his table and stormed off, and he didn't get suspended at all. But Jamal, he dropped his pencil loudly during class, and he got suspended. Like literally never fucking happened. And surprisingly, I would love to see a stat that shows that black students are punished routinely for the same behavior that white people are not. I would love to see any sort of study or graph or anything from a public school system that shows that is the case. Because in my case, guess what I've found in my research that black kids do things such as the actions I mentioned, talking back, throwing chairs, making a just being disruptive in class, assaulting teachers, not doing their homework because that's stupid. That's white people's work. I've seen studies that they do that overwhelmingly more than every single other ethnic group, probably combined, I think. Um, so guess what? That's why they're suspended and expelled more because they do more bad shit. It's like I saw this example is like, men are 98% of police shooting victims. Using Black Lives Matters logic, that means that the system is inherently sexist towards men, and we need to shoot more women apparently to even out the stats to 50-50 in order to make it a not sexist system. And of course, what the first defense is someone going to jump up to such a crazy argument like, wait a second, what are you talking about? The reason why they shoot men more is because they commit more crime. Oh, and there it is. There it is. That's why no one has a problem with police shooting 98% of men, because guess what? We do commit the overwhelmingly vast majority of crime, which makes fucking sense. When women do violent crime, like rob banks and shoot police officers, oh, they get killed too. Yeah, it's a equal opportunity employer when it comes to shooting at police. Women just don't do it as often, but when they do, yeah, they get put in jail or they get shot and they die. There's no systematic sexism in police shootings. Men commit the vast majority of crime, hence they're the vast majority of victims. Why can't you use the same logic towards black and white people? Oh, because that's racist? Well, then why isn't it sexist in the other position? Why? No one can answer that question for me ever. What a surprise, right? Didn't see that one coming. All right, we are a little over 20 minutes into this, and we have only 6 minutes into Sargon's video out of a 38-minute video, so I know for sure I will not be able to finish this in one sitting. So I will call it here, and then hopefully I will have more time to go through it. Probably like a 2 or 3 part series. See you in part 2.